morning necessarily, but I was up earlier than I normally am, and I didn't move because I hurt my back. Apparently sleeping overnight, so that's just a little window into my life. I turn over this morning and I'm like, what the hell? And yeah, I've been in pain, so I took a bunch of painkillers, drank a bunch of coffee, so it could be a fun show.
I'm sorry to hear that, man. That is what comes with being a very, very old man. For those of you that don't know, Lloyd is actually older than me. You
Hmm.
can't tell because I have all this gray in my beard and he does not. And for
I
that,
I have seven. I have seven right here.
seven. Mine is mostly gray. My kids call me the old man with the gray beard, and sure, while true, it's not nice. So there you go.
Hmm.
Oh,
Hmm.
thank you very much for everybody for doing super chats and becoming members and stuff. You guys are fantastic. We'll get to those at the end of the show. For those of you that don't know, this is Stadiacast. This is the place where you come if you want Stadia news each and every week, Sunday morning, 10 a.m. over at nerdnest.tv. Lloyd and I sit down. We record the show live with people in chat. It's always a fun time. And everybody who comes and hangs out with us is awesome. So if you're here, you're clearly awesome. And if you're not here, come hang out with awesome people because it's awesome. Before we get started, I want to say thank you to everybody who are members or anything like that who recently became members. Like in the last day or so, we had people like Thomas N7, Darren Pogue, Artemouth, Mark Miller, MK Gaming, Dan Wagner, Chris Kuhn, and Christopher Bernier all become members. Thank you very much for that. You're awesome, and it really does help support the show. Lloyd,
Does.
we start each and every episode with what have we been playing. I'm going to be completely honest. I tried playing Jackbox, didn't have enough people to play with right now. But it's Thanksgiving this week here in the States, so I'm
Right.
very much looking forward to post-turkey playing Jackbox with my family. Gonna get that all set up downstairs, and I will absolutely be able to talk about that next week on episode whatever of Stadiacast. So, what have you been playing this week?
Well, first I got to say nothing makes thinking games like Jackbox better than tryptophan. That is the perfect ingredient for thinking games. Yeah, I've been playing a little bit. I did a stream on Stadia's 2-year anniversary. So on Friday, did a stream, played a little bit of Outriders to start out with. Outriders has been fixed. It is officially playable now on Stadia, where I guess it was kind of playable before, but all of the major additions that came to all the other versions were kind of just not there. We got the patch that brought the game up to content completeness, and then like 2 weeks later or a week later, we got a big patch which added the kind of the second year of fixes or second generation of fixes. Well, I can't remember what they're exactly calling it in Outriders. It's like New Dawn or something, but that's not it. So I played a little bit of that, and the best part for Stadia now is crossplay is finally supported. So if you have friends that are playing on PC or Xbox or any other platform, you can now play with them on Stadia. So jumped in and did a little bit of that. I remember when we first played it, you had to basically crank all the camera controls to max to actually have any sort of camera control. So when I started the game, I would look at my right analog stick and I would do a 360. I wouldn't even touch it. I would just think about touching it and I would do like a full 360. So I had to readjust all of my settings back down and then jumped into the game. And yeah, it is one of the games that I was most excited about this year because I wanted another games as a service kind of game, like
Mhm.
another Destiny that wasn't Destiny. I love the fiction, I love the world, but the game just wasn't there. So I'm looking forward to jumping back in, and I'm probably gonna have to restart because I remember nothing. Like the first half hour of my stream was, I don't know how to play this. Oh no, there's guys. Oh, I'm dead. How do you heal again? I know there's a heal. I'm looking at the control and it's like, oh yeah, you heal from your powers. But it took so long for that to come back into my brain. Really enjoyed it though. Everybody in the chat really seemed to like it as well. So yeah, I played a bunch of Outriders. Outriders is good again, Bill.
Um, Oh boy, I have to disagree. I saw you playing it,
Mhm.
and I even tried to jump in on the live stream, but I was just too exhausted from work to continue. But then I tried playing a little bit after that, and first off, I took your advice and reset my controls, but it still feels super super loose. Like
Mhm.
every time I touch my controls, my like I can't nail down what I want to aim at. It feels really really sloppy, and I was like, okay, so maybe it's a Stadia issue. I launched it on GeForce Now because I also have it on GeForce Now. I ran into the exact same issues. You said, well, I haven't tried it on Xbox because I don't have it on Xbox, although it's in Game Pass, right?
Yes, it's part of Game Pass.
Okay, so maybe I need to try it on Game Pass and find out if it's a latency issue. But the thing is like I play games on Stadia all the time, especially shooters, and none of them have felt as sloppy and forcing me to overcorrect
Mm.
as Outriders has. And it's just been really disappointing because I love the world that they've built. I think the graphics are really, really good. I like
Mhm.
the tech trees for the different jobs, and I really like just like the abilities that you have. Like my character as a tank, I got to get up in people's face and do damage to them, and by doing damage to them up close, it heals me. And then I have abilities that let me cover distances really, really quickly in order to get into people's faces. I can cover myself in rock. I like
Okay.
that you only have three abilities, but you have many to choose from. All of the things about the design of the game is fantastic, but the execution is just really flawed in my opinion. And I can't enjoy the game because the controls feel so sloppy, and I wish that I could. And so do you feel like they're sloppy at all to you, or
Um,
do you feel like Bill just needs to learn to get good or something?
I think it's the style of game. It's a third person Gears of War style game. So your camera, it like everything. If you've ever played Gears of War, I don't know if you've played Gears of War. Gears of War is very much
A
a
little bit.
um you don't have so much as you don't have control of the camera as you would in say like a first person shooter, but you're able to quickly like kind of spin the camera around behind you, and that takes a little getting used to. I know when I first started playing Gears that took some getting used to, and Outriders feels very much the same. You even have kind of like the roadie run kind of thing where you get low to the ground and run to cover and things like that. So I think it's more the style of game than the controls. Not that I'm saying that you're wrong or anything, because
Hmm.
everybody feels differently when they play different games. I reset my camera settings to default. But then I even had to go turn them down a little bit more because it was just too fast for like the horizontal or the vertical look. I can't remember which one I was having problems with.
Hmm.
But after I got that dialed in, it felt good. It feels like Gears of War, which I've played a lot of over the years. That was one of my biggest multiplayer games when I used to play multiplayer games, was playing Gears of War.
Yeah, I never played Gears of War. Like my roommate had it, and I know that everybody says that like those games are really, really great. It just never was something that I was interested in. I have played plenty of third-person shooters, and I've not run into this issue, but it might just be a build problem. I don't know. Let us know in chat, or if you're watching this after the fact, let us know in the comments down below how you feel about Outriders. I know that people are saying, "Hey, it's $20 right now," so I mean, for $20 you could probably get lots of mileage out of it. I just know that I personally am disappointed in that game because I was looking forward to it so much, and I
Yeah,
thought it looked really really great, and all of the things that I like about it I like a lot. But the one thing that I don't like about it is like a deal breaker for me, and that
yeah,
kind of sucks. What else have you been
yeah.
playing?
That makes sense. That makes sense. I've been playing some other stuff as well. I played a big chunk of the Far Cry 6 Voss DLC. So the first of the three planned Far Cry 6 DLCs came out. Voss, you play as the bad guy from Far Cry 3. He's insane, according to the fiction in the game, and you're obviously insane when you're playing through this DLC. And the not for the kids, of course. So if you're playing this around kids, don't. There's a lot of f bombs and everything every 5 seconds because that's who Voss is as a character. But this is a roguelite game mode that's been added to Far Cry 6. So you spawn in this like little sanctuary thing, and there's a mirror because you're looking into your soul, and you can upgrade your powers through the mirror. And then there's also an armory, and you can unlock different weapons or upgrade the weapons that you have. So the game loop for this is you go out into the world, you kill the cultists that are coming after you. They drop little glowy things. You pick them up, you get a little bit of money. You have to amass as much money as possible, and then you head back to the sanctuary to unlock things that you've got money for. When you die, you keep $200. So if, like me, I had 2,000, and I didn't realize that you didn't keep your money because the first 2 times I died, I had under $200. So I spawned with the money that I had. So I had 2,000, which would have unlocked a bunch of powers. Sadly, I died, and I didn't take that with me. Yeah, you go out, you kill enemies, you get money. There's a bunch of different challenges on the map. So there's like a unlock a new weapon challenge. So you go to this ornate crate, and then next thing you know, enemies are spawning all around you, and you have to kill X number of enemies to unlock that weapon. There's things to unlock other powers, but the main goal is to unlock, or I guess capture, the 3 parts of a knife which you use to escape this insanity. It's really interesting playing a roguelite version of Far Cry 6. You have the same gunplay, the same kind of special items that you can use, but you don't get them every time. And every time that you buy a weapon, it might have different powers, like different mods. And you can take your handgun that is a 1-star handgun, and you can spend a bunch of money and upgrade it to like 4 or 5 stars. And then that every time that you get it, it will have a bunch of different mods on it. So didn't get it at the start, kind of what the loop was going to look like. I was like, this is really hard. But after you start amassing a bunch of money and come back and upgrade your weapons, it is really, really fun. So I had a good time. I played it for about an hour and a half, I think, and lost track of time. I didn't realize it was so late by the time that I had to finish for the day. Really, really fun. It's part of the season pass, and I believe you can buy it separately, if I'm not incorrect there. But just a different take on Far Cry 6, and I'm really, really enjoying it.
Yeah, Far Cry 6 is another game that just didn't grab me. I was really like, when it came out, I was in the middle of Metroid Dread. Actually, I think they came out the same day. And so I was like, I'm going to prioritize Metroid Dread. But I had started playing Far Cry 6. And now going back to Far Cry 6, I almost feel like I should just delete my save and start from scratch just so that I can get back into it. But like, it's because I had that break, I feel like it's having trouble pulling me back into it. But I love the idea of playing this DLC, especially because it has nothing to do with the story. So I can just do this. And the idea that it's randomized or procedural and all of that stuff is very compelling to me as the kind of gameplay where you can sit down and play a few run throughs as you're trying to get some money to upgrade your machine gun, so that the next time that you start, you can buy that machine gun and play through. I think that sounds awesome, and I'm definitely looking forward to trying that out. Your stream, and if you guys missed it, I'm sure that you can find it in our past live stream playlist. Your stream was really cool. Like that part of it was very interesting to me, and I'm definitely going to be checking out the. Is his name Voss? I've never played the other ones.
Yeah, Voss.
Okay, and he's from Far Cry 3?
Yep.
Okay. So that one looks really, really awesome. Anything else you've been playing?
Just a little bit more of Wavetail. That's a game that I wanted to complete this week. I had a few days off this week, and I had set aside some time from various games, and I just never got to it, which is sad. I played about another 45 minutes or so. What a joy. One of the best game experiences I've had for a while on Stadia. It's a Stadia exclusive for a timed period. So if you haven't played it yet, it's available as a pro game, and it's just a joyful like third person platformer with really cool movement tech. So you can kind of jump and double jump and float, and you have a boost button, and you can skate across the water and do a bunch of different puzzle things like that. What a amazing game. And so Young Souls was a Stadia exclusive for a timed period. Wavetail has been a Stadia exclusive for a timed period. Two of my favorite game experiences I've had this year, and they're both basically funded Stadia games that are coming to Stadia first. I'm just sad that it doesn't seem like more people are playing it out. Like you don't hear articles about how amazing Young Souls was or Wavetail is at all the big gaming sites, which is just so surprising to me because they're some of the best experiences I've had this year. So hopefully that changes. I don't know. Maybe we can petition IGN to review it or something, because petitions always work.
Oh yeah, of course. It's ridiculous because the barrier to entry is like almost zero. I mean, yes, you have to buy Wavetail, and yes, you would have to buy, was it Young Souls or Lost Souls? Young Souls. Yes, you
Young
would have
Souls,
to
yeah.
buy those games, but you don't have to buy anything else in order to enjoy them if your internet's good enough. And most people, your internet's good enough. Not everybody, and I totally understand that, but most people, your internet is good enough. So let's move on and talk about the news, because I have to be honest, I didn't really play many games on Stadia this week. But let's talk about the news, because it is Stadia's second birthday as of 2 days ago. It was 2 years ago where you were at a conference and I was sitting here doing an open mic live stream, and I got my code for my Stadia account, and I signed in, and I think I was probably the first person to stream Stadia on YouTube or whatever. And I played Destiny 2, and it was really, really awesome. And I had an absolute blast, and I dumped, I don't know how many hours into Destiny 2, because that game's fantastic. But I played the hell out of that game, and it showed that cloud gaming can work. I mean, other people had tried to do cloud gaming before, and it just never really landed. In fact, I would say until recently, the only one who was able to get cloud gaming right, in my opinion, is Google. Like, everybody
Yeah.
else was trying and failing. Now, recently, GeForce Now upgraded their 3080 stuff, and that feels much better. I would be interested in actually going back, having a free account and trying it and seeing if the latency is still there. Because I used to feel all that latency in GeForce Now. I don't feel it in the 3080 stuff. I launched earlier this week. I tried playing Halo Infinite on Xbox Cloud Gaming, and super latency. It's like
Really?
it felt awful to me, and it's like I know that it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's a subjective experience, and everybody's going to, like, if I go out and I buy an Xbox, and Lloyd goes out and buys an Xbox, and we hook them up to our TVs and play the same game, we're going to have the same experience. With cloud gaming, it all depends on where you are and where your nearest node is. But for me, Xbox cloud gaming is absolutely the worst of all of them. Not as a business model standpoint, because they're not charging me any extra money to do it. It's just, hey, you already subscribed to Game Pass, so now you can do this. But from the standpoint of technologically, they are not as good as GeForce Now. And I would say GeForce Now, tech-wise, is as good as Stadia, but Stadia is the all-in-one package that just works 1,000 times better than everything else. It's got higher resolution. It's got it's just a store that I can just buy games. The UI, while I'm not a huge fan of the UI, doesn't make it complicated to start a game. So I think in the past 2 years, Stadia, they started with a huge head start, and unfortunately they kind of stumbled out of the gate. I still think they're the best. But what do you think about the competition after 2 years playing catch up with Stadia?
I talked about this on Cloudburst yesterday. Yesterday. 5 months ago to now, the whole entire cloud gaming industry has changed. Stadia is still the same. Stadia's gotten better. They've added new features and everything. But Xbox has gone from using Xbox One series, or not, I won't say series because that's confusing. Xbox One class blades
Hmm.
to upgrading them to Xbox Series X class blades. So the game, when I stream Xbox Cloud Gaming, it is as buttery smooth as if I'm playing on my local Xbox. I'm not sure if maybe we have a Microsoft data center here in Manitoba or close enough where that latency isn't as apparent. But for me, Xbox GeForce Now, which is now the 3080 tier, has completely changed the game for GeForce Now for me, where things were a little bit laggy and input laggy. So both the game lagged and the input lagged. That is completely gone.
Hmm.
So now I have 3 services that are all completely buttery smooth for me where I live. And I realize cloud gaming isn't as it's very, as you said, it's limited by your local geography and the internet getting to your place. So where the data centers are and where you are can have some major effects on your I don't know, your joy that you experience while playing these games. I for some reason I can play all the 3 services with no issues, except for some reason when I'm on Wi-Fi in my house, my Wi-Fi has taken a dive again, and I have to figure out why that is happening. 2 years into Stadia, we've gotten so many new features, and I think why the reason why people aren't jumping up and down, like non-Stadia fans, not the people that are here watching us every week do a show and listen to the podcast, but just kind of the general gaming, is because Google started with 4K up to 4K 60 5.1 surround streaming, and they haven't increased the streaming tech. Where every other service that is getting the kind of the accolades and the kudos in the gaming industry, like Xbox and GeForce Now, has increased kind of the visual fidelity. So Google started there, and everybody else is
Right.
catching up to Google. And so no one's saying, "Yeah, Google's gotten better." It's like, well, no, Google's Google. The Stadia. They're the exact same, which I think is really not the right message to get out there. But that's the gaming journalism world. That's the gamers out there on their Reddit and Discord servers making jokes and dropping memes and things about Stadia. I really hope that goes away, because the tech for Stadia is the best, in my opinion. Like having a Wi-Fi controller, I've never had a latency issue, except if I'm on a laptop that is underpowered and I'm
Hmm.
using mouse and keyboard, and my system can't keep up with displaying the video because it's a really old machine. Then I get some latency. But when I'm on controller or any other machine, I have zero issues with latency and stuff. So Stadia has done amazing things over the last 2 years, including white labeling that has just started out. So I'm hopeful that the next 2 years are going to be even bigger and brighter for Google Stadia.
I, it's like, it's funny that you're talking about like they started really fast or really really good, and other people are playing catch up, and like Xbox is still at 1080. Not that resolution is the end all be all of everything, but Xbox is still at 1080p. GeForce Now just got to 4K, but only if you have a $200 device to hook it up to. 1440p 120 if you're in a browser or using their app or whatever. All
Yep.
that stuff is great. Google started it at up to 4K, like you said. It's almost like, you use a hockey analogy for you, Lloyd. It's like Stadia has been the Wayne Gretzky. Like nobody's really impressed when he makes a shot. Nobody's
Mhm.
really impressed when he does the hockey thing very well. But you know, if I get out there and I'm on the ice and I've fallen down every 15 seconds, and then you know, after about a half an hour, I can skate for a little bit without falling down, and 3 or 4 days later, I accidentally get the puck into the goal. Everybody's like, "Wow, Bill's doing pretty well. Nice job, Bill." And Wayne Gretzky's over there. He's like, "Man, I've been there. There's so many pucks in this goal right now that it's full. You can't even fit anymore." And is Stadia perfect? No. And we would not be honest if we said that it was, and we've been called Stadia haters in the past. So you know, you can say whatever you want. We're not shills for Stadia, but
Yeah.
Like, it is the best. It is the
Hmm.
best cloud platform, bar none. The other ones are catching up. And the one thing that Stadia, I feel like they have to do is get more games. But they have 200 games on the platform right now.
Yeah.
And I see that number continuing to increase over time as as we move forward. And, now that devs have access to the Stadia porting toolkit, it's a lot less work to get their games running on Stadia. Now that Stadia has said you don't have to have 4K in order to bring your game to our platform, a lot of devs were struggling with that at the beginning.
Hmm.
It's not like Google did everything perfectly,
Right.
but I do think that they are still, if you just want to sit down and play a game, they're the best way to do it. Because when I sit down with GeForce Now, I'm like, oh God, the UI is such a disaster. And there's three different stores that I can have access to, which is great, but that's really not what I don't want to do that. I want to just say, "Oh, here's my games, hit start." I want to be able to buy games from the interface. You can't do that on GeForce Now.
Right.
And then for me, Xbox is just a disaster zone. But I'm sure that they're going to catch up, and it's going to be, a neck and neck race in the future. And Google Stadia, they had the opportunity to be
Yeah.
the first ones out. I mean, I know GeForce Now has been out for 5 years, but they have had the opportunity to really be like the first ones out of the gate. And
Right.
unfortunately, they tripped over something, and they've been trying to catch up ever since. They need to control their narrative, is what they really need to do. I was reading this
100%.
article, um, and I feel like they got gun shy. And I was going to talk about this later in the show, but I'm going to include it now. I feel like they got gun shy by saying things and then everybody attacking them when things didn't go absolutely perfect.
Right.
And so now they're just like, well, I'm not saying anything. And in the past, I think I've even said that's probably the right move. But at this point now, I feel like they need to control their narrative. Like, there was an article that I was reading. It was about Xbox, and I'm not even going to say who it was because there's some inaccuracy nonsense in the article. But I clipped this out from the article, and it says the Netflix for Games fight has been fought and lost many times. Both gamers and fans have much hype catastrophes will remember on Live, Ouya, and most recently Google Stadia. Cloud gaming has been a moonshot for a decade. The premise is simple. Stream games on any screen like a movie or TV show. The tech is much harder to realize. All who have come have failed. Even Stadia fizzled out in less than 18 months, despite spending untold millions of dollars on studio startups and game deals. It didn't fizzle out. It's still there. That's nonsense.
Yeah.
That is a nonsense, ridiculously incorrect statement. But
Yeah.
then there's another part to this that's absolutely true. It said Stadia relied on games like Red Dead Redemption 2 selling at full price a year after its initial release on Xbox and PlayStation. For
Right.
me, I don't care if it's been out for a year. If it's new to me, I'm more interested in it. But for a lot of people, that's not a very compelling thing. And so people were like, I'm not trying Stadia. So it had, I guess what people would say is a bad launch. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts on that?
Yeah, the whole Stadia fizzling out thing is just such a tired narrative. I mean, I played Stadia this morning. I've been playing Stadia every day. If it fizzled out, that means it's not being used and not being updated, and that's clearly not the case with Google moving out into their porting toolkit, so people can bring games easier. If they're just a PC game, you can in a lot of instances you can just recompile it, and it'll do the translation from DirectX to Vulkan and all the other stuff. That's a great thing, which will increase the number of Stadia games. But just the fact that it's still around is crazy. And the second statement that you highlighted, the Stadia relied on games like Red Dead Redemption 2 selling at full price. Well, sure, but that's not a Stadia issue. Stadia can't come and say, "Hey, Rockstar, we want your game, but you can only sell it for $20." They're going to say, "Hey, do you want to bring your game to our platform?" And publishers and developers, if you're publishing your own game, are they're the ones that have to do the pricing, so they're the ones responsible for setting the price. So yes and no, for some of these arguments. it's so weird that 2 years after launch, there's still publications like this one that come out and say Stadia's dead, Stadia's gone. It's like, well, clearly it isn't. If you would have done your due diligence in reporting, you would have seen that clearly that is not accurate, and you could have reworded that sentence a little bit to make it more accurate, even if you wanted to keep the same tone. So hopefully that changes. As I said, with the porting toolkit and white labeling, what I hope that means is that 2022, 2023, we're not getting 100 games, we're getting 200, 300, 400 games coming, because all these new publishers come in and bring their whole back catalog, so they can get their back catalog available on Chromebooks in the school. They can have their games
No,
available on TV.
no,
On
I don't want your
TVs.
games in my school. I have a hard enough time keeping their attention as is.
Not to be played in school, but the
Oh,
Chromebooks that would
I
be
know.
part of school. So there's all those the outright games, kind of young scoot games that are there. Hopefully that means that Stadia keeps coming to new TVs to give people new free methods to play the games, and hopefully Google continues to make the UI better across all the different platforms it's available on. It's going to be a lot of work, but I think Google is still kind of in the lead for the amount of data centers, the amount of players, the number of games, and the tech behind it. 3080 is super exciting because it's like like whiz bang pixels. Everybody's excited about newer, bigger, better whiz bang pixels on their screen. Hopefully we get some buzz like that on the Stadia side as well. Like if Stadia increases to the next gen blades, and all of a sudden we can get 4K 60 with HDR and ray tracing, that's going to change the narrative. But I don't know how far we're out from something like that.
Yeah, I mean, look, we should probably move on, but like you mentioned, the 3080 is like really really exciting. It's also $200 a year,
Yep.
and if you want to play games on Stadia, you don't have to pay anything. And sure, there's a free tier on GeForce Now, but you can only play for an hour, and you have to get in line. There's no queues on Stadia. You just buy your game and you can play it at 1080p. You and I were recording an episode of On Deck yesterday,
Mhm.
and somebody had written in with like the Steam stats for the number of people who are playing games at 1080p, and it was like 86% or something like that. 86% of the people who are playing games on Steam are playing at 1080p.
Right.
So if that's the case, then those people can therefore then just, if they want, they could just buy games on Stadia, not subscribe to Stadia Pro, although I think you
Right.
should because it's a really good deal, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Um, and be able to play those games in the cloud without having to have fancy hardware, and also being able to play in multiple places in your house, or even on your phone if you've got decent connection. Um,
Yeah.
Overall, I still think that the best value is Stadia, because you don't have to pay anything other than the price of a game. And I think that there's way too many people that still think that you have to subscribe. So Stadia, while before I said, you know what, yeah, keep your mouth shut until you've got something to say, I think that they need to go out and do these interviews. Like that article that I highlighted was from an interview about Xbox's like 20th anniversary or something. Uh,
Right.
Stadia needs to do that kind of thing. They need to get the word out. They need to get faces and voice in front of people and talk about that more. And
Yeah.
Google, if you're listening to this, and I know that some people at Google do, we would love to talk to anybody at Google about
Yeah.
what's your roadmap, because I understand that they've said we don't want to say anymore. It's too risky for us. I think that that's not working because
Yeah.
there's still all of that incorrect information out there.
Yeah, and if you need some consultants, we're available. Not just kidding. Yeah, the comment from On Deck was from the October 2021 Steam hardware survey. It was 83% of users are 1080p. Only 2.4 are 4K. So that just shows that out the gate, Google was focusing on the wrong thing. They were focusing on 4K 60, where most people that play video games, 2.4% on Steam, which is the largest game store in the world, um, only 2.4% of those people are playing at 4K. So focusing on the tech and the latency might have been the best way to go, and then say we support up to 4K, but not everybody's a 4K screen. So we're delivering amazing experiences at 1080p and blah blah blah. There could have been some different marketing, I guess, but Google's new to gaming. Even though they ran the Play Store for a long time, they're still new to gaming. So they took their punches on the chin. They've licked their wounds, because I love mixing up all of my all of my different statements. And they can come back at it. I know, as you said in the chat room, John Justice has come out and said that we don't want to talk about when he was part of the company. We don't want to talk about what's coming. We're just going to deliver and have people see the results. I do think Google needs to go back on that a little bit. I think these Google Connects and these kind of showcase events, maybe 2022 would be a good time to bring them back and kind of just show what amazing new features are coming, or have come, because they don't want to pre-announce it. So launch it and then have a connect or some marketing video, so we can get some positive buzz from the bigger internet, I don't know, talking head community out there, so that they can start talking about the good things about Stadia.
Yeah, and then the last thing that I'll say, and then we can move on to the awesome features that we did get this year, is the idea. You know what? I can't remember what I was just going to say, so I'm just going to move on. Let's talk about this post that was Grace from Google posted this on Reddit. So this year they got. Oh, I just remembered. The last thing that I'll say is, it's called COVID-19 because it happened in 2019. Like, that's when they figured it out. That's when it showed up. And Google's launch was November 2019. So the entire time that they've been doing this has been under the pandemic, and trying to make, like, they were like, this is what we're going to do. And then COVID said, yeah, I don't think so. So like everything that they've been doing has that cloud over them, trying to get this out, which is probably why they've changed things and gotten gun shy. Anyway, Grace from Google, who's awesome, a great community manager, she posted this over at the subreddit. She said, Stadia is all about the games. We brought all kinds of games this year. This is just this year, not since it started, just this year. 73 new adventure games, like Lloyd's favorite Far Cry 6, Resident Evil Village, which you completed, right?
Yep.
Loved it. My wife won't let me play that
it.
until we finish Resident Evil 7, so it's still sitting there unplayed on mine, unfortunately. That we got Immortals Phoenix Rising. You dumped a ton of hours into that one because it's an open world game where you have things to check off boxes on a map, right?
Love it. The Ubisoft games are my jam when it comes to just vegging out.
Absolutely. And then they had like the trials and demos. Oh man, that should have happened so much sooner. Like, that is such a cool thing where they can just say, hey, everybody, try this game for free. That's really, really cool. Riders Republic, go ahead.
I just want to go back to that trials thing. Like 2.5 years ago, we said what Google needs to do is give everybody 15 minutes with any game on the service. Obviously, that's not quite here yet, but some games have trials. But then they also need to start advertising, put it in Google Ads, put it on YouTube, put a Play Now button. They're kind of doing that. There's Google was running some Google Ads where you could play. I can't remember which game it was, but it's like click here to play now.
Not Hero. The one with the engineering one. Hello Engineer.
Oh yeah, Hello Engineer. There you go. So it was a Hello Engineer banner ad, and if you clicked it, you're playing on Google Stadia just by logging into your Gmail account for 20 minutes or half hour, whatever that demo length is. Google needs to do that, and they need to do that for they need to incentivize developers to have that for every game on the service. Say, hey, we normally give you 70% of the funds, but we'll give you 75%, or 80% if you agree to have a half hour demo for your games that are on the service, because that is not something that you can do on any other platform right now. You can't play demos of any game that is live on the service unless that developer has chosen to come out with a PC demo that you can download on your PC or play through GeForce Now or whatever.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. Like, incentivizing publishers to make their games available through that trial thing which
Yeah.
doesn't require any extra work from the
Yep.
publisher because it's all in the cloud. That is such a huge thing. And I love the idea of them saying, look, you know how we just changed our deal? Well, I'm altering it further, but in a good way. Here's
Yeah.
how you're going to make some more money. And I'm also very interested to see how, because they recently made that change where to Stadia Pro, which we'll talk about in a minute. They recently
Mhm.
made that change to Stadia Pro where they're improving what the publishers will get. I'm curious how much that is an improvement for the publishers and their bottom lines.
Yeah, yeah. I'm very curious to hear from any developer how this has worked out, but they're all NDA'd
Yeah.
to here and there, so there's no way we're going to hear about that. But man, I'm so curious to see if that has improved any sort of payouts for those developers.
They also said Stadia is free to anyone to access and play the games they want. This is great. People on the Stadia subreddit already know this. That needs to be everywhere. Like they
Right.
own YouTube. They need to be just putting ads on YouTube, tons of them. Where
Yep.
if somebody's watching a thing that's like, "Hey, by the way, try Stadia Pro for free," or just try Stadia for free. I don't know if you
Mhm.
could get in trouble for that or not, but uh-oh, did you spill something?
No, I was playing around with something and I kept dropping it multiple times in a row. So I was like, "Okay, put it away so I don't touch it and make more noise because I don't want to do that."
There you go. They said a library of 91 games included with Pro. I have to say, the
Yeah.
king of what's the of data visualization when it comes to
Yeah.
video games has got to be InLead. He
Yep.
made this graphic, and I absolutely just love this graphic. And I think he's here in chat. He usually is. This graphic is fantastic. It shows the Stadia Pro games. Like the big thing that Xbox is always advertising for Game Pass is 100 games for Game
Yeah.
Pass. Yeah, well, we're at 112, and if you've been subscribed the whole time, then basically you are getting,
You have half the library.
yeah, you already have half the library for $10 a month. And I think that's $2 a game.
Yeah.
That's a really, really, really good deal. And it also comes with the
Ridiculous.
4K, all that other nonsense. But this is a really good graphic. So InLead,
Yeah.
well done. I'm so bad at design like that. This is good.
And it seems like Google is using some of the metrics that InLead put together for the various graphs and things. Because Stadia put out another thing saying just a one image thing saying 73 adventure games, 10 game trials, 19 titles including Hitman 3 using our new Stream Connect stuff. But then it has like the hours and the gigs to download. Like it's like 1.7 gigabytes if you downloaded all the games, not including patches. So you could easily double that, I would think, because games are never just one download. You're always patching it every other week. So yeah, really, really great, really great. I guess marketing coming out right now, but man, you got to do more of that. You got to be out there. You got to be bombastic, and as Bill said, put up like just blanket YouTube gaming with Stadia ads. Like if you can't fill an ad for some other keyword, well, just fill it with a default Google Stadia ad and let people know that Stadia is a thing and it's super performant. And get your big YouTubers that you have partnerships with, and have them do ads with you talking about the service. There's a really great podcast called Stadiacast that I'm sure would love to do that with you, Google. But it's just you got to get out there and market more. I know you don't want to. You've said that as a corporate philosophy, we're not talking about what we're working on. Well, then don't talk about what you're working on. Talk about what you've worked on and released, and get out there, blanket the internet with this news, so that articles like the one we talked about earlier just aren't 100% wrong right out of the gate, because that's just sloppy journalism. But I think Google has a part to play in the blame here, because they haven't really been out there chatting about this that much. So to the non-Stadia fans like us, it might seem like, yeah, maybe Stadia is dead. It just hasn't done anything in the last year.
Yeah, and gaming news is always like, what have you done for me lately? And like
Yeah.
everybody's making changes to catch up to Stadia. Stadia isn't making any changes because they're out in the lead. So I don't know. Let's
Yeah.
move on and talk about this game.
Can we
The,
talk about how sad I am?
oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, Lloyd, tell everybody why you're sad. Look how sad he is,
So,
guys.
so there's been, I think, three times in 2021 where Google has had a promotion where you could get a free Premier Edition with buying a game or spending X number of dollars or just paying $22.22 for it, and it hasn't come to Canada. So that is Resident Evil. It didn't come to Canada. There was another thing where if you bought any game $60 or more, you get a Premier Edition. Didn't happen to Canada. And then for Black Friday, they were selling Premier Editions for $22.22 for the second anniversary. Didn't come to Canada. And also, if you bought any game, I think $40 or $30 or more, you'd get one sent to you as well. Didn't come to Canada. So I want my Premier Edition. I need one more for my house, and I don't want to spend $140 or whatever it is up here with our crazy Canadian space bucks. It hasn't come to Canada. So hopefully 2022 is the year of Canadian promotions, because we've been left out all of 2021, which is sad.
I feel like Google Canada just really is not interested in Stadia for some reason. Poor Lloyd.
It's what it feels like
This
to me.
is such a good deal. Like, you're getting a controller, and like
Yeah.
you're buying a video game console for $22. If I needed another one, I would buy this instantaneously, and it's free shipping, and it'll get there in like 2 days because Google's shipping is incredibly fast. Every time I've bought anything from them, it's like I purchased it and my doorbell rings. I'm like, what the hell just happened? How did they manage that? So $22.22. What a fantastic deal. And then the other one where if you buy any game, restrictions apply, any game you get a free Premier Edition. It's just such a good deal, and the fact that it's not coming to certain places, I can understand why that is very, very irritating to people.
Yeah, 100%. It was sad, but hey, whatever. It is what it is.
All right, next up on Stadia, they posted this week. I had heard of Hunting Simulator 2, which we'll talk about in a minute, but 9 to 5. Had you heard of this game at all?
Not at all. It's in early access, or will be launching into early access December 8th. It's interesting 3v3v3 team-based first-person shooter. Yeah, I haven't heard about it. It does look very interesting, and it will be a free-to-play game. So there'll be no price, no barrier to entry for people other than having a Stadia account to be able to play this game. But it looks really interesting, and having the multiplayer play out with 3v3v3 is kind of an interesting way to do a multiplayer shooter these days.
Yeah, I like the idea of having 3 teams instead of 2 teams because it really, really changes things up. Like back in the day when I played World of Warcraft, I always thought that that's Latin. Sorry, I was watching the ad and it was funny. I always thought it would be great if there was a third faction because I was on a server where the Horde was. I was playing Alliance, and I was on a server where the Horde just ran the board, and so we could never do anything as Alliance. But if there was a third faction, then we could have said, "Hey guys, we're going to team up against the Horde." And
Right.
you know, put them in their place, and then of course we would all turn and point our guns at each other, like at the end of any you know, crime movie where they, you know, all of the alliances are very tenuous and easily broken.
Right.
I like the idea a lot of having 3 factions or 3 against each other instead of 2, and the graphics look really, really good as well. So
You do.
I always love these free to play games where they're supported by, you know, playing dress up, because that means I can play the game and I don't care how my character looks. So like, I'm not going to buy the battle pass or whatever, but I guess I still get to play, and the gunplay looked really good. And I also really like the humor that was
Mm.
in the trailer. I don't know if anybody had watched that with the sound on, but they were like pretending it was some kind of like board meeting or something. Like, we're going to train you on how to better work with your coworkers, and it was a very funny trailer. So make sure that you check that out.
Right.
That game looks cool.
It does.
Hunting Simulator 2. I could not care less about this, but oh my God, the hunting simulator games are very, very popular. I'm sure that there's more than just two of them. This is confusing to me a little bit. I think it's
Well,
probably, this team makes a hunting simulator game and this team does, and they're all called like Hunter, Hunting Simulator, The Hunter, Go Kill a Deer, whatever it's called. This is Hunting Simulator 2. Graphics
yeah.
look really good. It came out last year. Are you a hunter, Lloyd?
I'm not a hunter. I've never gone hunting. I've never killed an animal. So not my jam. I don't. That's not something that is up on my list of things that I want to go do. The game looks beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I love the fact that you have a dog because it's a hunting dog, of course. I wonder if you can pet the dog. I got to wait for can you pet the dog on Twitter to tell me whether I can do that. But it looks really good. The developer that makes this, they made Hunting Simulator 2, Hunting Simulator, and that's it. They've also done Paws and Claws Pet Vet and America's Next Top Model and Pet Resort 3D. So this is a bit of a I don't know a divergence in their kind of
I
development
did not know that.
tone. Development tone. So that is, I love my cats, I love my dogs, I love my pony. Animal Hospital, all these things about animals, and
Now
then the
kill him
next
and
thing
eat
they come
him.
up with, exactly right. Yeah, it's I found that very humorous when I looked into the developer of this game. It's like they make all these we love our animals, and then it's like, okay, let's go kill some while we're doing it. Just really really kind of funny, but it looks great. And I know these types of games are huge for a lot of people that like to go out and sit in a deer blind for 3 days eating beef jerky. Not my jam, but good for the people that like this type of stuff. Just like Farming Simulator, which people are talking about in the chat room right now. That is not a game for me. I love that people love it. I love that it's on Stadia for the people that want to play it. Even my son played a lot of Farming Simulator with his friends, which just blew me away. I'm like, but you were playing Fortnite and Minecraft and all these other games. Like, yeah, but Farming Simulator. I'm like, all right, you do you, buddy. You do you.
It's funny. I was watching a friend of mine. He was streaming on his Twitch channel, and he was playing. What's the name of the game? Power Washer Simulator, where
Right.
like you had like a power washer and you got to clean like this person's backyard or whatever. And like I joined his Twitch channel and I was like, "Ah, like, is this fun?" And he's like, yeah, it's really fun. And then I sat there watching him and I was like, he missed a spot over there. And then I was like, okay, I get it. Like, I can
We've been
understand how somebody could just play this and be like you jump into Far Cry and
yep.
relax, or
And
I've been playing a
check
lot of,
things off my map.
yes, or I've been playing Forza, where I'm just gonna sort by new and drive to a place and do a race. Um,
Yeah.
that's the same kind of thing. And like Farming Simulator, I have no interest in, but I wanted to love it because everybody seems to adore that game. I found it to be very, very boring.
Right.
But I can see all of the things behind it that can make people say, "Oh, okay, well, you've got like all of these things that you have to check off in order
Right.
to really have a good, I don't know, crop of wheat." And I can see how that can be very appealing. It's just not appealing to me, but like
Yeah.
just because something's not appealing to me doesn't mean I don't want it on Stadia. Like those are the people, like people who are like that are the ones that are like, "Oh, don't put, I don't know, insert game here on Stadia because I don't like it." Like those people just drive me crazy. I
Yep.
want all the games to be on all of the platforms. I want Young Souls and Wave, not Break, Wave
Tail.
Tail. I want Wavetail to be on Nintendo Switch and Xbox and PlayStation. I want all the
Yep.
games to be everywhere so everybody can play them no matter what device that they prefer.
Yep.
So I'm all for Hunting Simulator 2 being on Google Stadia. But you know what? This has been a year of surprises for me. For games that I've said I won't enjoy and I've tried and I've really, really enjoyed, like Halo or Forza, because I've just my preconceived notions about the games that I will enjoy, I think, are changing a little bit, because there's games out there that I assume I'm going to adore and I've been
Right.
incredibly disappointed in, or got really bored really, really fast. So I don't know. I just want all the games everywhere. All right.
Yeah,
Anything
that's
else before we get to the super chats and stuff?
no, just these games coming out, they're both shooters, but they're both very different shooters,
Very different.
and that's why they're free to play. So you can basically come out and play these without or sorry, 9 to 5 is free to play. I'm not sure if Hunting Simulator is free to
I
play.
don't think it is.
I don't think it is. But that's the best part about games like 9 to 5 and Google Stadia is you sign up for a Gmail account or use the one you already have. You log in, you play the game. If you like it, you get Pro if you want to have 4K. If not, if 1080p is good enough for you, you're playing this game and it costs you $0. And unlike the free tier of other services, you don't have like an hour and then it's going to kick you off and you have to restart again. So this is going to be, hopefully this game is huge and a lot of people um, on the better internet or the wider internet come and play this game on Stadia. I'd
All
love
right.
to see it.
Sorry, I thought you were done. What'd you say at the end there?
I'd love to see it. I'd love to see
Oh,
more
okay.
people talking about Stadia because of games like this.
Absolutely. All right. Sorry, I cut you off there at the end. Real quick, we've got some new members during the show, so thank you very much. I think some of these are re-members, so they don't show up in the list, unfortunately. But we've got Kodiak Moonwolf has been a member for 16 months. He says everyone is awesome. You're awesome, Kodiak. Thank you very much for that. Granite T Rock has been a member for 22 months. Happy second anniversary, Stadia. Hope for many more. Anthony Telcott has been a member for 25 months. They said 2 years. So glad you guys are still going strong. Thank you very much. And Art by Committee has been a member for 15 months. They say happy 2 years. Time for Bill and Lloyd's terrible twos. I've been terrible a whole lot longer than 2 years. So
Yeah,
just keep that in mind.
yeah.
Karate Guy Joe sent in a and these might be in the wrong order, but he sent in a super chat for $10. Thank you very much for supporting at that level. They said Stadia needs to talk about family share more. It is so fantastic. That is
Yeah.
1,000% true. Oh my God, family share is one of the best things. I'm recentering Lloyd's camera because I adjusted things. Um, One of the best things about this, I have just the pro games. I've got 112 pro games, and then there's the games that I've bought, and my son has access to those games. My daughters have access to those games. My
Yep.
wife has access to those games. Everybody in my family has all of those games, and we can't play them at the same time, but that's perfectly reasonable, and
Yeah.
it's just fantastic.
Yeah, family share has been huge. I set my daughter up with Terraria on Stadia. We talked about that for many months. Played a lot of Terraria, and every once in a while I'll come by and she's on her Chromebook. And I'll be like, "Oh, what are you doing?" She's like, "Oh yeah, I'm playing Rainbow Six, or I'm playing Borderlands, or I'm playing whatever that horse game is that came out as part of Stadia Pro, or I'm playing SpongeBob SquarePants. I'm playing Fogs. I'm playing all this." And she just randomly chooses a game and plays through it on Stadia, mainly with keyboard and mouse, but she uses a controller every once in a while. And it's just like it's so easy to do. You just add them to your family group, and they immediately get access to all your games. Or you can say they can only access these few games, and you can tick off the ones. I don't mind when my kids play like kind of a mature rated shooter so much. I don't mind that too much. I know I might be a bad parent if that's the case. But I know a lot of people would have bigger issues with that. My kids are 15, 14 and 15, so they're quite mature. But if you have younger kids, you'll definitely want to go set your parental controls to lock all those mature rated games out. But there's a lot of games that skew young on the service, and she's had a lot of fun playing it. As has my son. He's played a lot of Rainbow Six and other games on Stadia just because of family share. I even bought 3 copies of Rainbow Six so we could all play together, and then we didn't. So I was really glad about that purchase. Really glad about that purchase.
Same thing happened to me. Don't feel bad, man. The same thing happened to me with New World. I thought that my son was really, really going to like that game, and he was just
Right.
like, "Yeah, but I could just go play this other game with my friends." And I was like, "All right, that's fair. That's fine. It's okay." No big deal.
Yeah. Yep.
But anyway, that's a really good point. I love how easy it is to control family sharing. It's really, really fantastic because you're like, um, what's the series we got them on pro games, but they're like very, very crass, and it's like GTA, but a little
Oh,
more.
Saints Row.
Yeah, Saints Row. Like, so I went in. I share all my games with my family. I didn't share Saints Row because I
Right.
thought, yeah, I don't think that that's really appropriate. Um,
Hmm.
so I think that you're right. Who was that karate guy, Joe? Google needs to talk about how awesome family sharing is. And they actually, you know, they focused a lot on like resolution and frame rate and nonsense like that when they should be talking about convenience, because it's incredibly convenient to have Stadia.
Yep.
Like yesterday we were talking about this on deck, the idea of shuffling around your games in order to deal with storage solutions on consoles and stuff, and we don't have to do that with cloud gaming. Like
Hmm.
you said it earlier, 1600 gigabytes of information that you don't have to worry about. Like you
Right.
just have all of that stored, which is fantastic. They should talk about those Stadia specific features like Stream Connect. Like I think that 9 to 5 would be awesome with Stream Connect. If you could see your other, like the other people in your team, like what they can see. All
Right.
of those Stadia only features are really cool and not enough talked about, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree there. I think part of it is getting streaming working from Stadia is a bit of a chore for some people unless you have an OBS setup. So maybe not enough of this stuff is being played. I need to do more streams with that stuff enabled because I really mean to do it, and then it falls apart at the last second because of other things that are going on. But it is really amazing, and Stadia is the only place where you're able to do stuff like that with Stream Connect and Crowd Play and all that other stuff. It is really cool when it works well, and it's worked well in every game that I've tried. But yeah, we need to do more streams with that stuff enabled for sure.
Yeah, and the same with State Share. State Share could be huge.
Yeah,
And like if I were in charge over at Stadia, I'd be like, "All right, we're hiring somebody. Their job is to create state shares and share them out so that other people will interact with them." Like that's your whole
yeah,
job, is to make
yep.
state shares all day long. I think that a lot of people would like somebody would sign up for that because that means that they're playing video games. Anyway, Consino sent in a $10 super chat. Thank you very much, Consino. They said if Stadia wants better press, they are probably going to have to pay for it, like Nvidia does with their sponsored posts everywhere and their free tech/free tiers they give away. So first off, full transparency, um, Lloyd and I have access to the 3080 tiers provided by Nvidia, but we also have access to Stadia Pro provided by Google. So they are doing that kind of thing, and they have done things where they pay for it, where they had like Lamar Wilson and the other streamer who I don't know who they are because they weren't on Twit. Like I don't remember who they were, but like they had big streamers in the past or big YouTubers in the past do stuff, and it didn't really pan out for them. I think I, hmm, I don't know if there's a better solution or if they just have to keep doing it. But every time you see like a Stadia sponsored stream, I mean, I don't really pay attention to what anything that person is saying because it's sponsored.
Right.
So like, I'm like, okay, do they do it the next day when it's not sponsored? If they
Mhm.
don't, then their opinion is completely. I'm not interested because it wasn't sponsored. So, like
Yeah.
one day, we were sponsored by Into the AM. I had a T-shirt and they paid us to do an ad spot, but I still wear those shirts because they're still good shirts. So, um,
Right.
the thing is if the streamer is only going to do it when it's sponsored, then nobody's going to take it seriously anyway. Am I off base here, Lloyd?
No, and it's tough when you have large streamers that have a user base. They're usually there because of a specific game that they've played. Like they were big Fortnite streamers when Fortnite was new, so they've built a large audience of people that love Fortnite and they watch them all the time. Those streamers play another game and it's all hate in their chat. So
Oh
I could
yeah,
see
that's
where
true.
I could see where someone is on some streamer's page because they like watching Harvest Moon or whatever game that person streams, and then they play a couple Stadia games, and I could just imagine what their chat would look like. So hopefully it happens more. It's also, I can see where streamers would like to have the stuff local because they don't have to deal with network dropouts or the odd little blip that they would have. But yeah, Google needs to be out there a little bit more into year 3 of Google Stadia, saying, "Hey, this is our service. It's awesome. Everyone thinks that has tried it, thinks it's awesome. So let's talk about that, and then focus on all the good stuff over the coming 12 months as we get into year 3 of Google Stadia."
Yeah, and also keep in mind, a big YouTuber having their stuff local means that they don't have to worry about, like you were just saying, like when I stream something on Stadia, one of the things I was really worried about is the fact that I am downloading all of this stuff from the server. Like I'm streaming the game to me, and then I'm turning it around and streaming it back out, and that's a lot for my bandwidth to handle. And
Right.
not everybody, even the big streamers, they might not live in an area where they have a good enough internet connection. They have a good
Right.
enough internet connection to stream, but maybe not to stream Stadia games at the same time, because that's a lot for your router to deal with. That's a lot for your modem to deal with. So
Yeah.
that's something else to keep in mind too. Um,
Yeah.
anyway, thank you very much for the comment. As far as, I don't know, as far as, people streaming stuff that's, you know what, you mentioned something that I really want to grab a hold of. You said people show up for one thing, and when they don't get that thing, they get mad. We run into that all the time. Like we
Yeah.
were doing we do a lot of Steam Deck stuff, and
Hmm.
I've been getting like people who yell at me about the fact that I'm doing Stadia stuff. They're like, no one cares about Stadia, and I was like, well, I care about Stadia, so go away if you don't like my content. So like,
Right.
and like when we went from it was about a year ago, we went from just the name Stadiacast to Nerd Nest so that we could talk about other stuff on the YouTube channel. We had a lot of people get really mad at us.
Yeah.
And like other YouTubers, they might not be willing, because that's like their job. This is our hobby. So we're okay
Mhm.
with taking a hit in viewership because we're just doing this stuff for fun. But other people who are YouTubers, that's their job. And
Yep.
it's really risky to alienate your viewership when it's your job. So I can
100%.
understand why they might not want to do that.
Yeah, I agree 100%. That's always something you have to worry about. I watch one of my favorite streamers that I watch is Nick A30. He does mostly Fortnite stuff because it's fun. He's a good Canadian guy. He talks. He's family friendly. My kids like watching him. But then he'll play the odd game every once in a while, like Battlefield comes out and he plays that for a day, and every second comment is, "Can you just play Fortnite?" And that's got to be really annoying for the streamers. So yeah, I could see where people would take the ad buy, the sponsored buy to play a game, but then they would go back to what they normally do. Hopefully that changes in the near future. That people will play games even though they're not used to playing Stadia games. They'll just
Yeah.
keep playing Stadia stuff.
Karate Guy Joe sent in another message. He said, if Stadia wants the base to grow, they need to land a big game like Apex and bring in those big streamers on board. They have fans that will follow them through fire. Apex is massive on Twitch and YouTube. And
Yeah.
you know what? I 100% agree with it, with that. Apex is fantastic. It is my favorite battle royale game. When Stadia first came out, the dev team behind it, it's not DICE, it's something else, I can't remember, they said, oh, we couldn't possibly do that, the latency is too high. But now it's on GeForce Now, which is
Right.
like, okay, well then that's insert the meme of the guy going, well, that was a lie, because like it could easily run on Stadia. Stadia has the best latency of all of them. Apex could
Right.
do it. I imagine that maybe it'll happen in the future, but who knows? If it does, I'd be super happy because I love that game.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. Fortnite, that would be the one game I'd love to see on Stadia. And we found out that it probably won't happen because I think Epic said, "Hey Google, if you let us sell our V-Bucks in app on the Google Play Store, we'll give you Fortnite for Stadia." And I don't think that went anywhere. So we'll see what happens. That was stuff that it came up through the Apple lawsuits, the Epic versus Apple lawsuit. Some of the discovery came out, and we
Yeah.
found out that Epic had offered Google Fortnite. Whether that was taken at it's just a joke or it's a serious offer, who knows? But I would love to see Fortnite on the service as well.
Absolutely. All right. Another super chat coming in from Anthony Talcott. He says, been super busy, haven't played any games, including Stadia. Has there been any improvements to streaming features within Stadia? You want to, I'm not sure what he
Yeah.
means by that.
So the built-in streaming on
Oh,
Google
that.
Stadia used to do 1080p only. Even if you were receiving the capture or the stream to your to your house at 4K, it would only stream out at 1080p. That has been changed. Now you can do 1440p or 4K depending on what game you're playing and what resolution the game is, which is nice. It's still awkward to get your voice on stream unless it's a multiplayer game, and it's also you can't put a camera up, of course. So hopefully that stuff gets made better over the coming months and years, because I could see that being huge for a lot of people. They don't want to set up OBS. They don't want to have all that stuff locally. If they could have some sort of web streaming suite with some even overlay support or something down the road, I could see this being used by a lot of people.
Absolutely. And even without like having an overlay support, just the idea that anybody can be a streamer if they want to play on stage, anybody can be a streamer, because the biggest impediment to streaming has to be your upload speed. And like streaming on Stadia doesn't require a big upload speed. And that's the thing that most people have a fine download speed, but their upload speed's terrible. Like I have a gig down. 35 up is my max, which is a
Right.
ridiculous split, but
It is.
most people, they have like 5 up, and
Yeah.
you can't really stream at 5 up. So that's definitely a big thing for Stadia, or a big advantage for Stadia, is because that means that anybody can be a streamer if they want. I missed this a minute ago. Hungry Moogle became a member, so thank you very much, Hungry Moogle. And thank you very much, Anthony, for the question. Anthony Garcia said, they sent in a $5 super chat. They said, I have 100% used the free Premier editions and family sharing to get my friends into Stadia.
Hmm.
And that's awesome, but it shouldn't be on you to try and spread that. I think that Google should get your friends into Stadia, but it's awesome that it works, because I think that that's the biggest issue, is people need to just try it. And as soon as they try it, they're
Exactly.
like, oh, this is actually pretty cool.
Yeah. 100%. 100%.
Karate Guy Joe sent in another one and became a member. They said Stadia should incorporate Google services like Music, Drive, Photos, and the like. Bringing your own playlist to stream seamlessly would be a big checkbox. More in-depth stream controls as well. So I agree with all of that. The second interview that I had with John Justice, I asked him about that, and he said, "Well, we'll put it on the whiteboard about the putting your music
Right.
into your streams." Cool, I guess. I don't care about that. I just usually listen to whatever music is in the game.
Right.
Um, I think that that's a great idea. I love like I have Apple One, which gives me
Mm.
like Apple TV, Apple Fitness, Apple this, Apple that, Apple Arcade, blah 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 blah. All that stuff is included in like one subscription. Google should do that with YouTube Music, YouTube Premium,
Yeah.
Stadia, Google Drive storage, and Google Photos storage. All that stuff in one subscription that
Yeah.
includes Stadia would be a big deal. And why do we still not have a year-long discount?
Yeah, yeah. Like if you could give someone the gift of Stadia for an entire year for $70 or $90, whatever it turns out to be, that would be a great way. Instead of gifting them a Stadia Premier Edition, gift them a year-long access to Pro, so they get 12 months of free games, and then they can bring their own controller or pick up a Stadia one, or wait for a sale and buy a game for $40 and get a free one. Apparently,
Hmm.
unless you live in Canada, because it doesn't
He's not
they don't
better.
they don't ship up to our igloos up here, I guess. Our cold, barren wasteland can't have that stuff, I guess.
All right, this has been an extra long episode of Stadiacast. Thanks to all of your super chats and stuff that have come in. We really do appreciate it, but we're gonna have to wrap up this episode. The 2-year anniversary of Stadia, although we've been doing this for longer than 2 years. I'm Bill, that's Lloyd. Lloyd, why don't you tell everybody goodbye or something?
All right, everybody, goodbye or something. Thanks for joining us for the second anniversary Stadia show. Thanks to everybody in the chat room. It was so nice chatting with you all and seeing all these amazing messages come through. We do this every Sunday. We'll see you next Sunday. Have a week, everybody.
Have a week.